Good evening, thank you. My name is Bill Ferrulo. I'm here representing the G. Gregorio family, who most of you know. Joe G. and Gregorio, who's sitting in the middle, and his brother Fred have just recently closed the Green Cross Pharmacy after 55 years of service in this community. I mentioned that because they're long committed. This is about a building that at one time actually had a pharmacy in it. Many of you may not go back that far, but at the corner of Prince and Salem, you might have known it as Prince Postali in one life. I think John is sitting in the back this year. And it's been vacant since John gave up that business, and as you can probably tell from going by, is in great need of repair. And part of this is that the G. and Gregorios also have extended family who are here as well. And that's Salem and I'm sorry, but I forgot the baby. Nando, their son. And part of this project has to do with them as well. And that is that the top floor unit will become their home when this project is finished. You'll see from the design that it's going to be large enough to basically be a family-occupied unit that's basically the entire floor on the top floor of the building. As mentioned, and I don't want to leave out Joe, who operates Hannibal Liquors, also Fred's son and their wife, Ellie, are all here. So to go to what it is, the building is in such a condition. It's a wood structured building. It looks like it might be brick, but it actually is siding that's over a wood frame building that's in great need of repair. And in such a condition that a renovation really doesn't make sense for this building because it just wouldn't handle this type of updating, code compliance and so forth. So this will be a tear down. We will actually demolish the building and replace it with a building that we will show you drawings of, which is a 6-story structure. The ground floor of this will be retail space, so that we're keeping retail use there at the corner of Salem Street, which historically has been part of the shopping district. And the upper floors will be 5 floors of residential use. So you will have a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom apartment on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. The 6th floor will be a large 3-bedroom apartment, as I referred to earlier, that Mira, Sal, and the baby will want to move into future residences North End. Mira's been involved in teaching here in the North End, both as an Italian teacher at St. John's and here at the Lazaro Center for a number of years in the preschool programs and so forth. So let me walk through how this sets up. If you went to the site, why don't we just hold that for 1 second? So if you went to the site today, what you see is the building on the corner. But if you look closely on the Salem Street side, it's a 1-story structure that's been used for storage, etc. But that's all part of the site. So when this building comes down, that 1-story structure on the Salem Street side is also removed, so this will cover. You might want to just move it back so these folks can see it. Will cover the whole site. And because of the fact that it covers the site, you're going to see, if you don't have it in your packet, the violations that we received that we have to go to the Board of Appeal for, which include no parking, because this is not a site that would even contemplate ever having a garage. It's just too busy a corner to begin with. And second is we're not creating open space. There isn't space on the site for that, and we're not using the roof for open space. The only use on the roof is going to be attached to the top floor unit for the Ferricanos, Sal and Mira, for a small deck that you'll see as we go along. And we have a setback requirement because it fills the block, so they treat this as a Salem Street address, even though principally it's always been noted as a Prince Street address. So if you went back from Salem Street, you go to the building that's actually now on Prince Street, because that's how it backs onto the side of that building. And there's no rear yard setback there, there's none there today. So we will, if we go next. We're working on design issues on the building. We're taking some comments in earlier meetings that we've had already. But what's being done is we're trying to create a newer building but keep some of the older features from the neighborhood. For example, some of those features include the bays that in the past still have been copper, etc. So that's what you're seeing here. So that the elevations of the building bump out, meaning there's an 18-inch bump out on this building for this treatment. I know this is traditional, this is sort of a more modern treatment of the same sort of idea. I don't know if people on that side can see it at the same time. And again, we're trying to match in with the bricks, even though this area has a real combination of different colors and styles, etc. So it's intended to be a more, as I say, modern approach to a traditional neighborhood. It's different from some of the buildings that just look like the street. Hopefully, it's a very pleasing effect to have this. The building will have an elevator that services all of these floors. So we're just going to walk you from down below. Some of this is added, so your plans will look just slightly different. For example, the basement is just showing empty, so we were requested, what the request was made, it seemed logical, and we intended to put some service area in the basement anyway, in other words, for trash, for the building, etc. It just didn't show in that drawing that you have yet. So we're still working these, and it was suggested it might be a good idea to have storage for individuals who rent. These will be rental units because the G.N. Gregorios generally own several properties in the neighborhood, all of which are rentals, none of which, by the way, are short-term in any sense. They have people who've lived in their units for years and years and years. So that's the basement. The first floor is the commercial space. So as you see from the treatment of the commercial space, it's almost U-shaped because the center is the staircase and the elevator that go through that. So the next floors, starting with the second, and the floor sizes are just slightly different, but they're all pretty much the same, and that is they are large enough to have a one-bedroom and a two-bedroom unit on each of the floors. So starting on the second floor, which is this one. So David's reciting the square footage. You have 620 square foot one bedroom and a 767 square foot two bedroom on this side. So this is the Salem and this is the Prince. So they get nice light, there's nice windows on them and so forth. And then as you go up to, this is 2, and then 3, 4, and 5, pretty much they are the same. And again, it has a one bedroom and a two bedroom configuration in those units. What is labeled here is the, and I did it on yours as well, is the owner's unit is the entire floor. And that's set up as a 3-bedroom unit on the top floor of the building. Then we're planning, this is a small deck area that will be on the roof that will only be accessed by that unit, and there's a restriction on that by zoning, as you should know. It can't be accessed by other units for a couple of reasons. Is you'd need 2 staircases going to the roof. We didn't plan 2 staircases to the roof for that reason. We have no intention of making this a fully accessible public roof deck, etc. That's strictly for family use on the top. The question came to me on, you see the railings here. Those are not balconies. They have the appearance of that, meaning what happens is what I call that bump out, that 18 inches, has the railing in front of it. So if you're in the unit, you can open the doors, but there's no place to walk out to. In other words, the railing ends at the face. So it's not like there's a little balcony that you can sit on or something like that. So that these are not, when you first look at the feature, it looks like it's a balcony, but it really is not a balcony. It's just to allow full opening of the doors if you choose to. So, what else do we have? Yeah, this is the Prince Street side. This one, this is the existing building where Monica's Stuffing is now, and they have connecting fire escapes and connecting balconies is what the fire department refers to. We have to maintain that, meaning that if people have to get out of this building, their only escape is to come into our building. That's kind of a traditional Martha thing. So in that instance, we do have an area there, but it's intended as the fire balcony. You can see it's not really set up to be used for people to sit on, etc. But on these floors, it connects those 2 buildings. So the difference between the others and this is this will stick out further than the other side that doesn't stick out at all. So I don't want to have a misunderstanding about these 3 pieces, which is required for the fire escape in the building next to us.
Those are just Juliet balconies again?
They're not really balconies. It's a fire escape. So in other words, if you open this door, this is a good example. If you open the door here, you can't go anywhere because you have that railing right in front of you. But if you open the door here, you can go on the fire escape.
No, I understand. I was saying the top door is just Juliet balcony.
Yeah, this is it, yeah.
And then it's a brick facade going up and then vinyl the top floor?
It won't be vinyl. It'll be either something that's like faux copper, or it'll be something that BRA will design, to be totally honest, is that, you know, in this atmosphere in the North End, they will come up with a color and a product that fits in with those surrounding buildings. So what's on several, I'm thinking it's 2 or 3 of the buildings directly across, like Medino's, et cetera, have the bump outs. That one is kind of classic copper. If you go a little bit more up Prince, it's metal. So, you know, in a sense, it never usually is up to us. It's usually up to the, I keep calling it BRA, EPDA, to decide what color and treatment that they would recommend for up there. So we're showing it lighter. It could be metal. It could be some other product that they think fits the color scheme and the product scheme that they like in the neighborhood. So.
And the balcony or the rooftop deck, that wasn't the whole rooftop? It looks, I think that this is a little bit different than.
Yeah.
It looks like that's.
I think it was just open before.
That's a wrong plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the early, as you said, that's the early plan. That didn't show the, for example, it didn't show the mechanicals.
Yeah.
Things, yeah, so
It's
it wasn't complete.
The entry or access is a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the scope of the rooftop deck?
Oh, it'll be limited to use
Like
of the
12 by
6th floor.
12?
Yeah.
I think it's still open in terms of the size, but it won't be, you know, it won't be very, it'll probably, we have it right now in this area. So, you know, it'll require that they either come up this way, et cetera, so there'll be a connector, but it'd be large enough to put out a table and chairs.
Okay. Go back to the fire escapes. So is there a connection between, so it's like 2 more pages? Yeah. The fire, I didn't see a connection, maybe you're doing something on the side, but
No.
4 or
Is there a
5.
connection here?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Just no.
We don't need it.
It's because this building needs it.
Okay.
So when we take down this building, we've taken down their egress. We have to
Okay.
connect back to them.
Okay.
But our building is fully sprinkled
Okay.
and has 2 weeks of egress.
Okay.
And I think that's sort of the sum and substance of what this will look like and how it sets up. So we're glad to answer questions about
So it looks like you've got 8 between floors 2, 3, 4,
9.
and 5, 8 rentals,
yes, 8 rentals.
4 one-bedrooms and 4 two-bedrooms.
Correct.
Plus the private unit on top.
Correct.
And then the retail, any idea what you're planning for retail?
Not, I don't think yet is, to be honest, the family itself is looking at, is there something that someone in the family wants to put there in terms of the retail space? But our thought was that that corner sort of says retail, if you know what I mean, is that, you have, Bovis and Pazziali, et cetera, you have the Trattoria, you have, so it sort of says retail instead of just keeping it residential. And to be perfectly honest, the encouragement I get from the city is to, try to get retail spaces at that level, at that corner, that's still
Yeah, no,
considered,
no, it
local
makes sense.
service.
But any thoughts, any pipe dreams of what you want?
I told
for
them to open a
retail?
pharmacy, it seemed like a good idea.
I'll second that.
What's your, when do you hope to start construction, and what's the, and turnkey date? How long do you think it'll take?
The quickest answers we could give you is we would like to start construction quite literally as soon as possible, meaning under normal circumstances, the permitting in this will probably last anywhere from 3 to 4 more months, by the time you finish the ZBA process. The finished set of plans, meaning the actual nitty-gritty plans for every element of the building, takes another couple of months, et cetera. So you probably don't get into the ground. We have to also go through a demolition delay process, it's called. So anytime you take a building down in Boston, you have to go through a hearing process to determine if there's any reasons that you can save the building, and is it historically significant, et cetera. We don't believe it is, that either it's historically significant or, more importantly, that it could be saved in the condition that it's in. So before we start up, we have to come down, and that's part of that process. So I wouldn't expect construction to start for 6 to 8 months at a minimum. David, did you kind of like ballpark? It's about the same. And once it starts, it's likely to be somewhere between 12 to 18 months in terms of construction.
And so speaking of construction, what kind of street closures are you looking at when it comes to demolition and construction? Are you looking at blocking off prints at times, or sailing at times, or how's that gonna work?
Well, hopefully not, it's doubtful that the city would do that. This is my opinion, we haven't spoken to transportation yet. The way this street, et cetera, sets up is, if you look at it now, a little how it is, what you have across from the building on Princeton is, there's a handicap spot that sits in here. It's set back from the corner to allow people to make the turn, that's the first thing. But if I were to guess, having seen construction here for a long time, is the city probably will take some spaces on this side, allow you to close off part of the front so that you can stage in the front, at least to get the building down and the start of the construction so that the building can get up. So if I were to guess where we would lose spaces here, it's gonna be at this corner, and they'll probably move the handicap up. And there's probably, and I'm only guessing here, either one space plus the corner that they already have, 2 spaces, possibly, so that the traffic can get by. So that would prevent, hopefully that would prevent traffic from backing up on Prince, as happens at every construction site that I've ever seen in this neighborhood, is when those trucks roll up, they have to unload, they have to get stuff there, so that the city transportation will have to have us create something, in my opinion, in this area in front. And we don't want to infringe it, we just start to Mendoza's. We don't want to infringe on the Mendoza's, but fortunately, you know, they don't start until the lunch service business, so we could probably coordinate water delivery and stuff like that. But that's how it probably would be staged, but transportation will come to the next meeting and tell you something completely different, but I'm only guessing based on the way it appears to me, so.
Anyone else on that council have specific questions? Or?
Any comments coming out of the abutters meeting? Any?
We haven't heard, to date, we haven't heard a negative.
I can
Was
speak to
Maria-
that.
Maria was-
So we held an abutters meeting tonight at 6 o'clock on site, and so we had a lot of attendees, probably around 20 attendees, which is a lot for an abutters meeting in this neighborhood. And no real concerns, you know, questions about construction, questions about materials, but no outright, you know, opposition, should I say, just kind of questions about what the building's gonna look like and units and the full scope that Bill went through.
Anything on the bay windows, either design or they're,
No, just looking at the plans, but no like outright.
okay. I know we've had that in the past, that's what I asked.
Yeah, and that's why I said, that what it come to me was, when people saw the plans, they were thinking of those as being, even if they were Juliet, that people could walk out on these and somehow sit out on these.
Oh, yeah.
And you really can't, you know, it's not designed that way at all.
Just real quick, the extension of the bay windows, where's the current, how far does it stick out from where the building currently is?
It's 18 inches, above 15 feet, correct?
Yeah, they're 19 feet above the.
19 feet, I'm sorry.
And you're taking something that's roughly dimensionally compliant and you're tripling the FAR or almost tripling the
Well,
FAR. What's the justification?
It's actually, I should have pointed out, there is an error on that, that's a misprint on here, that 7.99 is not accurate. We're closer to 6 plus, et cetera, but it's still,
So double.
it's double. The answer to that is simply meeting most of the other requirements and making sense of building a new building like this. Now, yes, is it greater density, more units? Yes. We currently have 3 apartments in that building because we have that piece in the back that has nothing. So that 1-story piece has, you know, there's no residential above it. So technically, if this building were in good shape, you could build on that 1-story and at the very least get 3 more apartments there. If you went up another floor, you would have 4 apartments, and 4 apartments, you'd have 8. Here we have 9. So why do I say that? Is I could still kind of stay within the parameters of what the zoning allows and have some smaller apartments, et cetera, but I could probably have 8 of them. Here I have 9, but it's a brand new building. It's an elevator, which is a service for, you know, people who wish to live in a building that they can get up and down in the elevator as opposed to doing the stairs. And it's costly to do all that. So that's the density, best density answer I can give you is, sure, it's more dense than what's there today, but staying in the existing building and building on the extra piece would still get you to somewhere around 8. So if it weren't a commercial space downstairs, you could put another 1 or 2 units there. So you could still get density, if you know what I'm saying, but, you know, not add a lot to the building. This way, what it does is get you to 9 units. It has a unit sufficient for family use. We'll use that larger unit upstairs. And at the same time, all of the code compliant issues that you deal with about sprinklers and so on and so forth, hopefully make it a very attractive building too.
Great. Does anyone, do we have any abutters present actually? Any others? Yeah.
My main concern is during construction or prior to construction, tearing down the building and getting home and walking around and whatnot. I think it's gonna be a big problem for us to get home.
I mean, I think before we do any work on that building, any of this sort of living water, that is just one tough street to begin with. I mean, just the nature of the street, and the people stopping, and going into bakeries. And so it's, I come up Prince all the time. There's always something going on in Prince, so yes, it is difficult. I think what ameliorates some of that is the fact that these are people who live here, who've been part of the community, et cetera. I think they're very responsible, they're easy to reach. We do things like this in the city, meaning we build in difficult places. Think of some of the stuff that's going on here. It's never easy, but the city is on top of the contractors, they're on top of the owners, et cetera. If they're blocking traffic, they're gonna know about it. They issue stop orders. It doesn't make any difference who you are. And again, we've had difficult construction on Hanover Street and other locations that get tighter than that. It's not gonna be easy. We fully recognize that, but we will do, this family will do everything they can to not make this a problem, but it's gonna be tricky, and we admit to that, so.
Well, and to Marianne's point, I mean, as long as you work with residents, especially with accessibility in terms of construction, I mean, we have that issue all the time and getting to the sidewalks, and then along with the businesses there to just make sure that they're not impacted by everything going on.
Yeah, and as I say,
that's a busy intersection, of course.
I couldn't agree more, is that, again, walk over to Hanover Street, Joe and Joe, 2 generations of Joe are there every day, living there, running their business, the liquor store, et cetera. Yeah, these people can't avoid, people in the neighborhood. And as I said, I think there are a lot of people sitting in this room, including myself, who will speak to the character of these individuals as far as whether when they say they're going to do something, they do it, and I fully expect that they will, and they will continue that way. So.
Dan?
Look into the one-story building, see if that can be brought down first, maybe dumpster.
Stage.
Yeah, then maybe dumpster in there while the other pieces are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, they won't, I don't think they'll dump it on the street. I mean, that's,
No, right.
that's, yeah,
Might be a
absolutely.
suggestion.
Well, because there's not much to tear down.
Right.
I mean, it's just, right, yeah, excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
thinking.
I shouldn't have said questions, I should have said tips, advice, and questions from the audience. I should have limited it. But is there anyone else present that would like to say anything or have any questions? All right, hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
I want to
sir.
say Ricardo Rulo, 3 Unity Street. It looks like a nice update, and it blends in nicely with the neighborhood. So I just want to say that that I support it. It looks a great addition to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to make a quick comment.
Sure.
I've known the John Gregorio family, I'm not going to say how long because I'll show how old I am. And my father, even before me, they're a staple of this neighborhood. They live here. They're trying to do something that is going to fit in with the neighborhood because they live here, they spend their time here. I think they're very caring of the neighborhood, so I think I have no doubt at all that it's going to be a great project.
Okay. Did you? Yes.
Also myself, Lino Rullo, 3 Unity Street. Also myself, I like to agree with Carmine Guarino about this family. I know them for 50 years, and I don't think there's any better friends or family than I ever met in my life. And never going to be any problem. I'm pretty much sure they're going to be responsible for anything that can be doing and follow the whole thing can be happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Nicholas Leo, 39 Commercial Wharf. Again, it's obviously a big eyesore there, and I think it's desperately time for a change, and to hear about a building coming in being fully code compliant with fire alarms and fire sprinklers. I mean, that's obviously the way to go. A lot of these old buildings on the north end, they're just one accident away from a deadly fire. And, we're just getting happen on Hanover. And it can happen again anything. So anytime we can get stuff up code compliant, I'm all about it.